So, again, my biases. Do I believe that UFOs are real? Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a 100% verifiable fact. What is a UFO? An unidentified flying object, right? They also use the term unidentified aerial phenomenon. I mean, come on now, UFO. UAP is just dumb. Let's be honest, okay? Now, the real question is, are there, or has there ever been, documented evidence of a UFO having an extraterrestrial origin? That's the big question up in the air. And so, now, I will be honest with you. I have not watched this. I have not looked into this in any capacity. I saved it for this show for a live reaction. There is an alleged whistleblower interview here. It's 12 minutes, and I'm going to try to watch the whole thing here, just because. And now the video is, like, broken, so let me refresh this. Thank you, Elon. I'm going to watch this because I want to learn with you, and I'll look into this more in the future. But again, I just want to give my perspective on the alien thing. I believe if a UFO has a non-Earth origin, that the only possible and logical explanation is humans time traveling from the future. That is my conspiracy that I believe. That if there is a UFO that does not originate from anything that we know about on Earth, that it is humans time traveling. That's my opinion. Why? I believe time travel is possible. I believe that time travel is possible in the future. And if time travel happens in the future, that means it happens in the past, right? And I also am not convinced that there are aliens out there in the solar system or in the wider universe that would be able to venture out and see us. We have been searching for extraterrestrial life for decades, almost a century even at this point, but mostly, 50 years really, we've been hyping it up, and we found nothing so far. So my opinion is, now I'm not saying I necessarily believe that UFOs came from the future, but what I am saying is, if there is a situation like Roswell or whatever, and if it comes out to that is true, I don't believe that they're aliens. I believe that they're humans from the future. So I just want to say that's my personal conspiratorial belief with no evidence. Now, again, I'm not saying I believe in it. I'm open to it, right? I'm very open to this, and I'm just being honest with you. If you think this is all wacky and crazy, that's fine, whatever. But this is just my belief. I'm having fun on my show, and I want to watch this with all of you. So, this is a News Nation interview with some whistleblower. Now, again, this could all be a giant scam. Who knows? I'll look into it more later, but I thought it was more fun to do a live reaction, so.
The U.S. government found quite a number of them, and they are indeed of non-human origin. Those are the explosive allegations from a former intelligence officer tonight in a whistleblower complaint that the Inspector General is taking very seriously. 36-year-old Air Force veteran David Grush is exposing what he calls a top-secret military program that has reportedly found wreckage of fully intact UFOs. The government now calls them UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomena. For years, there have been whispers.
I have never heard that. Now, again, I'm not a huge UFO person. I don't participate in any. I've never heard anomalous. I've always heard aerial phenomenon, but anomalous, okay. I mean, that's a cooler. If that's what UAP is standing for now, maybe they changed it to anomalous recently. I'm not sure, but I'm in. Anomalous phenomenon, I'm in. All right, so I reject what I said earlier. I'm all in on UAP.
And rumors that the government had aircraft of non-human origin. This report is the first evidence it might be true. The Inspector General has called Grush's...
I love that, by the way. There's evidence that it might be true. That's not what the word evidence means. I'm just saying, like, that's... I'm sorry, if you're a journalist, if you're on the news, you should not be saying that there's evidence that it might be true. That's not how evidence works.
Complaint urgent and credible. Tonight, we have a World Television exclusive interview with the whistleblower in which he claims we not only have the aircraft, but the government has been keeping much of its secret from Congress and from the public. News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Enton is here with the story, and this is a blockbuster.
It is a blockbuster. It's really hard to wrap your mind around this. I've been working on this for the past couple of weeks. I'm still having a hard time processing all of it. Over the last couple of years, it sort of became mainstream to discuss UFOs. The government has released videos. They've acknowledged that we don't know what some of this stuff is out there that we have on camera, but this really takes it all to another level. For the very first time, the world is about to hear from a former high-level U.S. intelligence officer who says the government has some of the unidentified craft in its possession. He is revealing these exclusive details about the secret government program.
We're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
We have all seen these blurry videos of unidentified flying objects. Video evidence, if you will, that old tales of UFOs may not all be conspiracy theories. In recent years, Congress starting an official U.S. government unidentified aerial phenomena task force. Recently renamed...
See, I told you, aerial phenomena. I told you. I'm not okay. UFO, cooler than unidentified aerial phenomena. Though, unidentified anomalous phenomena, I'm in, okay? I'm in. I'm just, power rankings here.
Named the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. And now in a News Nation exclusive, David Grush, an Air Force veteran, former member of that task force, and veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, is formally blowing the whistle on secrets he says no one has ever shared publicly before.
You are one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the US defense and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were trusted with the most intimate secrets.
Yes.
Grush sitting down with award-winning investigative journalist Ross Coulthart, who's reporting for News Nation and has spent years reporting on the UFO question.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No. I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse. People started confiding in me. They approached me. I have plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me they were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
Grush alleges the U.S. government has recovered non-human craft for decades. He's filed a whistleblower complaint saying he gave what he calls the classified proof to Congress and the Intelligence Community Inspector General. News Nation has confirmed David Grush's credentials and resume. We've not seen or verified the alleged proof he says he's provided to investigators. He says he can't show us the proof for national security reasons. He also tells us he's...
So that's a big red flag for me. That's a big red flag for me. So I just want to put it this way. Now, I theoretically would understand why you wouldn't want to become the next Chelsea Manning. I get it. So you want to try to follow some sort of protocol. But if I found out irrefutable documented evidence that there are fucking aliens, I'm taking the risk. I'm just letting you know that right now, right? I am taking the motherfucking risk. I am posting that shit on the internet immediately, right? So I just want to say that red flag, okay? Red ass motherfucking flag right there.
He's not seen photos of the alleged craft himself, but has talked extensively with other intelligence officials who have.
If you're right, if you're telling us the truth, everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, an official intelligence representative at a high level from the US government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone, yeah.
Do we have bodies? Do we have species of
Well,
non-human?
naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
It's also harder for people to wrap their minds around the concept of a crashed object from somewhere else. It's easier to accept that, yeah, we see things in the sky that we can't explain.
Journalist Leslie Kane broke Rush's whistleblower story this morning in the debrief. Ms. Kane's career has been mainstream and credible, having written a series of reports on UFOs in the New York Times dating back to 2017. He has the credentials, but there's no documents that he's handed over. There's no pictures. And as a journalist, you want to see documents, you want to see pictures. Does that raise a red flag?
Not at all, Brian. I mean, you mean documents that actually describe the craft?
Correct, yeah, like government documents, or to be able to see it for ourselves.
Of course, don't we all want that? And the problem with that is all of that information is classified. You know, as we said in the story, everything that Grush told Congress and told the Inspector General of both the IC, the Intelligence Community Inspector General, and the Department of Defense Inspector General, all of that information is classified.
In 2017, Kane reported exclusively in the New York Times that the Pentagon had a secret UFO program. 3 years later, the Pentagon confirmed her story. Her latest report is even more explosive, but Kane says she has multiple sources who back up Grush's story.
I believe it because of all the sources I have who have told me the same thing. So who am I to doubt these very, very high-level people who have been inside these programs for decades, have done their work, and are all telling me the same thing? I mean, I don't think there's some kind of conspiracy among all these people who don't know each other to make something like this up.
So I've got to be blunt about this. Yeah. You're not making this up. This is not a lie.
No, absolutely not.
Because everybody watching this right now is looking at your face. Mm-hmm. They're going, is this guy for real?
I am for real. And I'm sitting here at great personal risk and obvious professional risk by talking to you today.
And just within the last 10 minutes or so, the Pentagon has released a statement to News Nation about this report. They say to date, AARO has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of...
So just real quick, again, you can't trust either side of this coin. Like, that's just, you just can't trust them. You can't trust the Pentagon, and you can't trust really people that work for the government. I'm just going to say this. I need the evidence. Now, that one journalist or whatever saying she has multiple sources who've corroborated that don't know each other or whatever. Okay, all right, I'm interested in that. But ultimately, I need the documents. That's my position. And I say this as someone who is extremely amenable. I genuinely do believe that there are aliens. Now, I don't believe that they've interacted with us per se. Like I said, I personally believe if we have bodies, if we have, crashed UAPs or whatever, I personally believe it's time-traveling humans, more likely than not. Because think about this, okay? Think about this. If there were aliens and they came to us, they would have the power to do whatever they wanted. So imagine a scenario where, like, why would aliens come to us and then not make themselves known? Maybe, I don't know, they're evil. Maybe they want to use us as a petri dish. Maybe that's, I don't know, maybe look at a lot of the disease going on. Those are all the conspiracies on that one. I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. I don't buy that aliens would use us as a petri dish. I don't buy that aliens would come here for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years and not leave a single trace until the U.S. government formed, and then they left a trace, and the government managed to take it all without anyone. I don't buy that necessarily. Okay, I need to see documents on this one. But that said, the Pentagon obviously is bullshitting. I mean, like, let's be honest. So if the Pentagon says, I'm just going to assume that anything that the Pentagon says, that the opposite is true. And that's just, I mean, like, do you know anything about the Pentagon's history, right? So it's like, anything the Pentagon says, just assume the opposite is true. And taking that perspective, you know, maybe this guy is right. Maybe it's right, you know?
Extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. AARO is committed to following the data and its investigation wherever it leads. AARO, working with the Office of the General Counsel and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, has established a safe and secure process for individuals to come forward with information to aid AARO in its congressionally mandated historical review. AARO's historical review of records and testimonies is ongoing and due to Congress by June 2024, and AARO welcomes the opportunity to speak with a former or current employee or contractor who believes they have information relevant to this historical review. And Elizabeth, we know that David Grush, he's filed that whistleblower complaint. He's been on the record under oath testifying to many of these things that he said in our report tonight.
Right, and it's important to point out that this statement from the Pentagon, from AARO, Grush is alleging that this top secret program is keeping it a secret from AARO. So.
Yeah, exactly. And if Grush is, what he's saying is true, you know, the spokespeople, all of those folks at that level wouldn't even know this was going on anyway.
All right, I got to ask you, you know, he has a compelling story to tell. Very little of it seems like firsthand knowledge. Isn't he just repeating what somebody else has told him or somebody else has showed him?
Yes, that is what he's doing, but he says he's talked to a number of people who are in very, very high level positions. He also had basically the highest level of classified material information that he was able to receive. We went back and checked over, you know, his history, all of his credentials, check out completely. Unfortunately, there's
in addition, a couple people have come forward publicly to vouch for him, people who are high ranking.
They have, and this article first came out this morning, and I think it's interesting that, you know, there hasn't been any sort of effort to discredit what he has said either from the Defense Department.
So interesting. So what happens, you know, and have we had any reaction, by the way, from members of Congress who have been taking this seriously in the last couple of years? We've seen congressional hearings. We've seen NASA's hearing just about a week ago on UFOs or UAPs, whatever, you know, you prefer to call them. We've seen the DNI give a briefing to the White House on this. When we've been hearing whispers and rumors for years. I remember even former President Trump, when he was in office, sort of saying, oh, my first act to Congress, first active duty pilot to testify before Congress about his squadron's experience with UAPs. He also founded Americans for Safe Aerospace to encourage other pilots to come forward. Lieutenant Graves, always great to have you on the show. First, just your reaction to what we've just heard.
Yeah, quite the incredible statements that were made public today. David has had a lot of experience and he's made some pretty strong statements. My understanding is that this has been properly communicated to Congress and other stakeholders in government, and so that really puts the onus now on Congress to be able to move this information forward, hopefully to the American people.
All right, no, I don't think anything else of value is going to be here. This is the big story. Everyone's talking about it. What do I think? Okay, so again, ultimately, I need the documents, right? I'm not going to say that I 100% believe in any which way until I see actual proof, okay? That's what I need, all right? But, you know, I can still say, where am I leaning? And I'm leaning that it might be true and that they're time-traveling humans. That's my position. That's where I'm leaning. Now, I can't say that with 100% proof or with 100% confidence. Why? For the same reason that I can say that Jesus isn't real, right? I need to see evidence. That's how my brain works. Without seeing any evidence, it's up in the air. But, you know, scientifically speaking, I believe in time travel. I believe in hyperdimensional travel. I believe that it's extremely likely that if humans found a way to develop time travel, that they would be the only ones interested in going back in time to Earth to just fuck around and do some random shit. Why would aliens come to Earth? I would need an explanation. Some people say aliens come to Earth to like edit our DNA to make some people say aliens. To me, that's really fucking far-fetched. I think it's more likely that humans would do that, because what do we know about humans? We know that humans are shifty, shady, and fucked up freaks. That's what we know. And so if humans were to time travel back in time, they would be shifty, shady, and they look like fucked up freaks. That's what I know for a fact. I know that as verified evidence, okay? So that's why I believe in the human time travel theory. Now, I'm not saying I don't believe aliens are out there. It's 100% certainty. I believe 1,000% that there are aliens, as in living life forms that are not us, somewhere in the universe. Now, whether or not they have the ability to come to Earth, that's a whole separate story. I don't know about it, okay? I would need more evidence on that one. So I lean in the time-traveling humans direction. So whether or not this has any bearing on our lives, it doesn't yet, until there's evidence. If there is, okay? If there is evidence, that changes every calculation ever, right? I mean, I view it, right? I personally think that if there was irrefutable, undeniable, I'm talking like a photograph, I'm talking like a video, and there would need to be ways to prove that it's not AI generated. I'm talking about if there was, and I don't know how it really is even really possible to get that irrefutable evidence. I don't know what the form, because I don't necessarily think documentation, like words on a page, like I don't necessarily, like, so I don't know what the form of evidence would be required, but what I do know is if that evidence did turn up, that changes every single calculation for the entire world. That is, it's a singularity moment where everything you've ever thought, the paradigm that you've lived in your entire life, completely, irrevocably, irreparably changes forever. Now, I don't know if that evidence exists. I don't even know if any of this is true, right? But really, until that evidence is in the public view, this is just going to be something that doesn't matter. Some people call it a distraction. All that kind of stuff. Maybe, possibly, even probably in some instances. But you never know. So this is the big thing. I'm not convinced, but it's just more and more evidence that leans me in a direction that I feel like I've already been in. This is not a bombshell to me. This has been promoted as a bombshell. I don't view this as a bombshell. I view this as just another linear step. Now, it's a good step. It's a nice step. It's a linear step to progress, I guess. But it's not a bombshell. It's not a paradigm shift. It's not like a life-changing situation. And that's what a lot of people are promoting this as. And those are people that I feel like maybe they're too invested into something. And, again, we live in a country where 70% of us believe in Jesus Christ. So, you know what I mean? Like, magical thinking is alive and well in the American population. So, what are you going to do? But, there you go. That's my thoughts, I guess. I don't know. There you go.